Mr. Reese, it seems that we have a new number.
It's about time, Finch. I was starting to get bored.
Mr. Reese, could you, like, clear your throat?
What do you mean?
Just go like, Your voice is driving me crazy. Get that ball of dust out of your throat. Fuck it, never mind, just take the number. Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about the first 3 seasons of Person of Interest. 2 reasons why I'm only talking about the first 3 seasons of Person of Interest. 1, I'm not done with season 4 yet, and I wanted to talk about the show already. And 2, it feels like the first 3 seasons sort of end a chapter in the Person of Interest story. There's a certain story arc that ends with season 3 and sort of evolves into something else for season 4. So Person of Interest, much like Fringe, starts out as a crime procedural with a touch of science fiction and grows into a more serialized, story-driven show. The show mainly revolves around Mr. Finch and Mr. Reese. Mr. Finch has built a machine that can predict violent crimes, and the machine produces numbers. Then Finch and Reese use those numbers to locate the person or people of interest in relation to those crimes. When they find someone, they don't know if that person is the victim or the perpetrator, which really puts a nice twist on the traditional procedural formula. You might already know this about me, but I am not a big fan of procedurals, and I'm also not a big fan of 22 episodes per season. So season 1 of Person of Interest was kind of a struggle for me. I get that the point was to establish the world and the premise and the characters, but it got so repetitive at some point that I just felt like I was watching the same thing over and over again. The stories themselves were good, I would say even better than most other procedurals, but it did get repetitive, and as far as the overall story goes, I felt that after about 10 episodes I got the idea and I was ready to move on. The show does a good job at establishing Mr. Reese and Mr. Finch. Both of them are archetypes that you've seen a million times before, but both of them still manage to remain interesting characters. Reese is the ex-special ops, mysterious military past, world champion of kicking ass, man of few words, and Finch is the socially awkward, super intelligent, super perceptive computer hacker genius. Right off the bat, the show sits you down and tells you, listen, Finch can do anything with a computer. Hack into anything, learn anything about anyone. He's basically God with a laptop. Just accept it. And you kind of have to. So season 1 was kind of slow and for me even difficult to get through, but once you do get through season 1, season 2 and season 3, the actual story, the show just turns around completely. First of all, by season 2, you already get a great lineup of characters that all bring different things to the table. Shaw's ruthless style is a great compliment to Reese's more calculated moves. Root is just insane and wonderful, and I loved every episode that she was in. And by the end of season 3, Fusco was actually my absolute favorite character in the show. Season 2 still kind of suffers from proceduralitis and doesn't focus on the main story enough, but the one-off stories, the one-off episodes are so much better than season 1's because you have such a great cast to work with. The evolution of the concept of the machine is something that the show did very well. They didn't just let the core concept of the show stay the same throughout, but it changes and evolves with the show to the point where it becomes just as much as a character as all the other characters. I didn't feel that Person of Interest delivers some incredible, breathtaking performances, but I also don't think it's the point of the show. I would say the performances are better than your average police procedural, but by the time the main storylines really take over, which unfortunately only happens somewhere in season 3, the main driver of the show becomes this fantastical story, and you're just interested in that. You're not really looking for amazing writing or performances. Having said that, I never thought the performances were bad. The action looks great and the show itself just looks great. And the characters themselves are so different from one another that you always have this variety that keeps things interesting. Season 3 felt like everything the show needed to be. I would say that all the slower parts of Person of Interest are worth it for season 3. It has a great mix of standalone episodes, a huge focus on the main story and the characters themselves, who are very fleshed out by this point, and fun. Season 3 is so much fun. You can feel the dynamics that have formed between the different members of this group, and you have a lot of fun with it. Also, by season 3, the story has a pretty huge scale, and the show does a really good job at making you feel those high stakes, while still keeping things personal enough for you to actually care. not easy to pull off. And that exact same thing was also pulled off by Fringe, another sci-fi procedural turned story-driven show produced by J.J. Abrams. I can't help but compare those two shows. Up until now, I still like Fringe better, but I really liked Fringe. Bottom line, should you watch it? Person of Interest starts out very slowly and takes its sweet time to get to its full potential, but when it does, it pays off. If you like procedurals and one-off stories, I would say dive in headfirst into this show. You probably won't regret it. If you're more about the story like I am, there is actually a very useful article by IGN that just points out the essential story episodes and some of the better episodes around them that you need to watch from the first 3 seasons. I will link it below in the thing. I would say the best experience would be use the article for seasons 1 and 2 and then watch all of season 3. But all of that is just my opinion. What about you? What did you think of Person of Interest? Who's your favorite character? Mine is Fusco, then Shaw, then Root. If you're talking about spoilers, please use spoiler tags in your comments. And if you're finding Binge Watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the Binge Watchers community, where we're talking about TV every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with reviews, news, opinions, all kinds of great stuff, all for you fellow Binge Watchers and TV lovers. So you can go ahead and click on that big subscribe button to join in on the fun. You can check out any of the other videos on the channel. If you want to talk about anything else, you can check out my personal channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you next time.